Hey everyone, welcome back to Wealth Up. Let's dive into our October budget review and see how my financial journey is progressing. This month was filled with travel. I had a family trip and a reunion with college friends. While these were memorable expenses, they definitely impacted my spending. Unfortunately, I had to deal with more dental work this month, which added to my expenses. The bill was higher than expected, but I am lucky to have the flexibility in my budget to cover the cost. I also started buying Christmas presents. I want to get ahead of things and not wait until December. My employee stock purchase plan, or ESPP, has concluded, and the shares have been deposited into my account. This has been a great way to invest in my company and potentially increase my wealth. However, it's important to note that the income from these shares might impact my tax situation. Let's see how these factors have impacted my net worth. I'm curious to see if the travel expenses, dental bills, and ESPP proceeds have made a significant difference. Let's jump into the spreadsheet. Let's start off by going over my October income. This month, I received 2 paychecks, one for $2,513 and a second one for $3,699. The difference here is that my first paycheck allocated some of the income for the ESPP program, and the second paycheck went back to normal. In addition, I had a little bit of income from dividends. I also had $6,225 roll over from September. Adding all of these up brings the total income to $12,439. Now let's look at my investments and savings. My automated investments remain paused this month and will update it in the spending plan to see how it will look the remainder of the year. I added $1,000 into my emergency fund and set aside $500 for tax and insurance. In my monthly expenses, in the fixed payments category, I paid my mortgage of $1,100, my electricity payment of $62.84, gas bill of $28.33, water $60.40, internet $48.86, and my student loans of $200. As expected, no big changes in this section. Now let's take a closer look in the varying categories. First is dinners and hanging out with friends. This month I spent $300, $4 in subscriptions, $145 in shopping. This is primarily for an upcoming work trip that I have to take. I also spent $685 on gifts. Again, these are for the holidays, but with some deals that are going on, I was able to buy the items at a discount, so I jumped on the opportunity. Adding all of these up brings my total expense in the fun money category to $1,134.32. This is substantially higher than my target spend, but as you see, it is mostly coming from gifts and not from the other categories. Now let's jump into the home expenses. This month I spent $56.39 at Aldi and $246.56 at Costco. For the house, I bought a number of things, some at Amazon where I spent $115.29, and organizational things at Target, and I spent $56.84. My spend on gas was a little bit higher this month at $89.55. Adding all of these up brings the total to $564.63. Here we're slightly above target. Let's go into the self-care section. I spent $85 on a massage this month, $11 for the gym, $930 at the dentist, and $65 at the doctor. Adding all of these up brings the total to $1,091. This also is above the spending target. Again, most of it coming from the dentist and doctor. Let's look at my travel. As I mentioned, I took 2 trips this month. For the first one, I spent $266.55. And for the second trip, I spent $119.98. I was refunded $233.49. This was because we split the Airbnb, and I also was refunded from my credit card. If you remember last month, I had to pay the annual fee for some of these cards, and one of the perks is that they refund some money on travel expenses. So the rental car that I got, airport parking, and toll fees from these trips were all refunded. This totaled the $233.49. Adding all of these up brings the total spend for travel in October to $153.04. This is even though there were 2 trips, primarily from the refund from the credit cards, but also in part because the flights were free. I used my credit card points to book them, so there weren't additional expenses there. And finally, in the hurricane section, I had the last payment on the rental property to make, and this was $1,870. The only thing that I have left now is the fence repair at my personal property, which is scheduled for early next year. Something that I've decided to do this month is to clear out the rollover from the previous months, put that into my cash savings, and I moved the $10,000 loan from last month into a high yield savings account. This is going to allow me to have better control. After taking into account the income and all of the expenses for this month, even though I did go over significantly in fun money and self-care, I still have $270 left to spend. This money I will roll into my investments to get this going again. But for now, we'll leave it this way. Let's take a look at my spending plan. I'll take a few minutes here to update it. For the month of October, you'll see both of my paychecks added up here. As I mentioned earlier, the employee stock purchase plan has concluded, and those shares were deposited into my account. This was a total of $14,800. Adding both of these up brings the total income for October to $21,013. All of the shares were automatically sent into my investment account, noted here of $14,800, and all of the expenses are noted in the following sections. I also added the hurricane expense. As you see, I still have $270 left to spend, which, as I mentioned, I'll roll into my automated investments, bringing the spend in October back to zero. This is how I want to operate every month, but because of how the year has unfolded, I've opted to keep more cash on hand than I would normally do. But from now until the remainder of the year, we will make our budget go down to $0. Let's now look at my net worth. If you are new to the channel and aren't familiar with net worth, this is a measure of your financial health. It takes into account your liabilities or all of your debts and your assets or anything you have of value. For me, my liabilities are my mortgages on my personal property and a rental property, student loans, and a work loan that I obtained last month. For assets, I have the 2 houses, a car, investments, and cash. In October, my mortgages totaled $310,230. My student loans were $9,768, and I haven't made any payments towards my work loan, so it remains at $10,000. This brings my total liabilities for the month of October to $329,998. Let's look at the value of my assets now. The value of my properties went down slightly this month to $488,200. The value of my car I will hold at $11,700. I will add that I recently received an offer from the local dealership for over $15,000. So I am being conservative with the value estimate here. Next are my investments. These totaled $603,300. Because of the employee stock purchase plan and getting allocated those shares, you see the big jump month to month. In addition, there has been a slight increase in the market as well. In cash, I have $39,000. As I mentioned, I moved cash that I had in my savings account into my sinking funds to help bring back down the budget to zero. That's why you see the big jump in cash from September to October. After adding all of my assets together, they come to a total value of $1,142,200. Now, for calculating my net worth, I will take the value of my assets and subtract the liabilities. This brings the total value of my assets for the month of October to $812,202. It's hard to believe that it's over $800,000 now. It's been a process, a lot of learning. It's good to see the discipline paying off. The change from the start of the year to now is significant. I can see the exponential growth and how I'll quickly reach $1 million. Moving forward, I'll focus on budgeting for future travel expenses and continuing to save for my long-term financial goals. The ESPP income will be a great addition to my investments. Share your financial experience and tips in the comments below. Let's build a supportive community and learn from each other. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more personal finance content. Thanks for watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next one.